So let's get started with today's presentation. I would like to introduce our speaker. This is Tom Murray from the Will County EMA. Tom, come on up.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Before I begin the presentation, I'd like to start with really exciting news. There's only like 120 slides, but 5-6 hours, right, Jackie, is what we got? Perfect. We'll be out of here in no time at all. I like to tell everybody. Well, you can bring, storing is okay, I suppose. But we do have some giveaways today. But unfortunately, someone gave away all my raffle tickets. So I have a little notepad here. So if you guys want to write like your name and then just turn the page and pass it on, we'll rip them off at the end. We'll mix them up in a box, and we've got a weather radio, a first aid pouch bag thing, and like a preparedness kit for your car. And then on the way out, with all their other giveaways, we've got some information about severe weather preparedness and some senior things. So if you want to put your name on here, pass it around, and then at the end we'll kind of shuffle through them and we'll find 3 winners to take something home today. How about that? All right, cool. So today we're going to talk about severe weather preparedness, right? We're finally getting into summertime. It seems like all of a sudden the oven got turned on. It's 1,000 degrees outside, right? If you're anything like me, you like being outside in the morning before it gets too hot, and then like about 10 o'clock at night when it's cooled off a little bit, right? So we'll talk a bit about severe weather, what we can do to prepare for it, for different types of weather too. So a little bit about our agency, Will County EMA. We were established in the late 50s as the Will County Civil Defense Agency, right? The old duck and cover stuff, the old blue civil defense trucks, that's where we get our history from. And over the years, our name has changed as our mission has changed, and our current title, again, is Will County Emergency Management Agency. And we use that to look at all hazards, right? We're not looking not specifically at civil defense or severe weather, but all hazards, all things impact all residents. Our agency, we've got 13 full-time personnel. We have 1 intern over there. Nolan is joining us this summer from Western. And we've got about 50 volunteers that help us fulfill the rest of our mission area. The major program areas that we work in: emergency planning, exercising, emergency response and coordination, public education, preparedness, things like this, outreach efforts, support for local units of government, so helping, Village of Manhattan Fire Department, and things like that when they have large events. Severe weather, we'll talk about today, and we are the statutory agency for communications and warning in the county. All right. Also, if you have any questions along the way, please stop me, because otherwise I might, keep on going and you guys might get bored of me. So story time, right? Everybody likes to talk about stuff. So I've been through some crazy severe weather through my career and through my life in Will County. Anybody here gone through any kind of crazy weather events they want to tell me about? Plainfield, okay, that's a huge one, yeah. Anybody else?
How about the 200-year floods in New Lenox?
Yep.
In 13 years.
Yeah, right?
On June 13th.
Okay. Wow.
The Woodridge tornado where I live.
Okay.
Was 3 years ago today.
Oh, wow, okay. I remember that, yes.
The flooding in Shorewood.
Yeah, that was a big one too.
That was a big one.
Yeah. I always like to talk about the ice jams in Wilmington.
Yeah.
We got it, we get something every winter, but we really got a lot of ice this winter, and we kept telling ourselves, oh, it's not that cold, it's not that cold, we're going to get through this. And like overnight, the river froze, and about 3 days later, we had water in downtown Wilmington. So weather can obviously change very quickly, so it's important that we're prepared about those things, right? So some severe weather facts about Illinois. Illinois is first at a lot of things. We're very excited about that. Not always convicted governors, but Illinois ranked #1 in the total number of tornadoes in 2013 for the entire United States. How about that, right? 121 tornadoes were confirmed in 23. Every county in Chicago area had at least one. And of those 121, 58 were in the Chicagoland area, right? So we get a lot of that up here. I'm sure there's someone way smarter than me at the Weather Service to explain why, but all I know is we have very active weather. Now, most of the tornadoes occur between April and June and in the late afternoon. But who remembers the tornado that went through Diamond in Coal City? You guys remember when that was? Like October, November, late fall, early winter, right? Tornado comes through one day, the next day it's snowing. So just because we typically see them in the spring, early summer, doesn't mean they can't happen at any time or any time of the day. There's also this rumor, legacy, old wives' tale kind of thing that Chicago, the city, is exempt from tornadoes because of all the tall buildings. That is absolutely not true, right? They can happen pretty much anywhere at any time if the weather conditions are favorable for it. So, and so far in 2024, we've had 62 tornadoes in Illinois, with 15 of them being in Chicago. So again, very active weather in our area. So let's talk a little bit about a storm we had that came through here late February. All right, so this one came through in the early evening, maybe late afternoon, early evening. 12 tornadoes that touched down in northern Illinois. 11 of them were what we call in the Chicagoland's coverage area for the Weather Service. The other one was out in the Quad Cities over here. 7 EF1s, 4 EF0s, and then 1 EFU, right? EFU means we don't know how much damage did it cause because of the area that was in. But again, we're not that far into the year, really. We've already had a very active springtime. So we want to be mindful of severe weather and weather changing when it goes on around us. So watches and warnings. Without looking at the screen, who knows what the differences are? Nobody?
When watches, you have to watch out. A warning would be you should go for cover.
Right. Watches are, conditions are favorable, and they might happen. We expect them, but they're not happening yet. And you're right, warnings are, it's happening right now, or it's about to happen, right? So we get a watch, it might be like, well, I have to go to the grocery store today. Maybe I'll go now when the skies are still blue, but we're under a watch, as opposed to waiting till later today when we might have a warning here, right? So not altering your day entirely, but maybe being more aware of what's going on around you. A warning is, you're exactly right, I should get inside now, right? Get out of the weather, get somewhere safe. Now, I like to keep things very simple. So a watch is, I have all the ingredients to make cookies. A warning is, it's time to eat them. We like cookie warnings in my house, right? The watch doesn't happen too often. They always want to eat them. They don't ever want to make them, right? So again, watch, these things are going to happen maybe, but warning is we're ready to go right now. So we get all kinds of weather in Will County. We are very fortunate, I guess. I'm not sure. We get all the seasons, sometimes all in one day, right? So we can get tornadoes, hail, lightning, wind, and flooding. And we'll talk a little bit about each of these hazards and what you should do to prepare for them. Tornadoes. These are one of the more, visually obvious ones, right? Giant clouds, a lot of debris. Someone mentioned the Plainfield tornado earlier, right? That's the picture over here in the lower corner from Crest Hill and Plainfield from 1990. Oh, yeah, right? Tornadoes are extremely deadly, extremely dangerous. So it's really important to take them seriously, right? You want to get somewhere safe. So here's 3 different kinds of structures I think would cover just about everybody in the room, and maybe someone else in your family, right? Either you have maybe a freestanding home or a townhouse, maybe you live in an apartment or a condo, or maybe a community like Gateway out south of Frankfort there, right? So we want to make sure that we make really good choices to go somewhere safe, right? If we're in a traditional freestanding home or a duplex maybe, right? We want to go for the lowest level. How many have a basement in their home? Okay. If you don't, where should you go if you don't have a basement in your home? Anybody know? That's like that, right?
Hallway closet.
Like inside, away from exterior walls. A bathroom is a good choice if it's in the center of the house, right? Maybe you have a cast iron bathtub in your house. People still have those. They're very sturdy things, right? I was at a meeting somewhere and someone talked about they had a cast iron bathtub in their house, and they had like a small twin mattress that they would drag the bathroom and pull over top of them. And I'm like, that's pretty ingenious, right? Now, I'm not sure I would think about that at my house, but if you have those options, maybe it's something to think about. Again, if you have a basement, this is the best option. We want to cover our head and neck to prevent ourselves from falling debris. Another really good thing to bring with you is like a cell phone, right? Because maybe you're safe in your basement, but you're stuck. You can't get out, right? So bring some way to communicate with people, because if you're trapped in there but you're okay, we'd like to know that. The fire department wants to know that we're going to get you, but maybe the neighbor who's got more serious problems, we're going to get to them first because we know that you're okay, right? Okay, so if you live in an apartment or a condo, it says dorm rooms for younger audiences, right? But we want to go to the lowest floor. Again, like if, like we didn't have a basement, go to the lowest, floor. Maybe have like an interior laundry, like a shared laundry room or a shared common space that's in the center of the building, right? If that's not available, a stairwell, anything that's away from windows is ideal, right? Glass is not going to be our friend, right? And again, covering our head and our neck to make sure we don't get any more damage to our body, right? If you're in a mobile home community, again, like that Gateway development over there south of Frankfurt, it's not a great place to stay is in your actual dwelling, right? You want to go somewhere safer. So like, I think Gateway has like a community building, right? You want to go somewhere that's a more traditional type structure because while mobile homes are great for living in, they might not be the best. Actually, they're not the best for severe weather, right? So we want to be mindful of that. All right, any questions about any of that? All right, interior, lowest space you can get to. What about if you're in the car and you're driving? Who's ever seen a highway overpass and there's this poor motorcyclist who didn't think it was going to rain and the person is just soaked to the bone trying to ride out the storm? Good choice or bad choice? What do we think? Bad choice. Do we know why? Anybody have an idea? Right. The wind can really start sucking things up under. You get a lot of debris. You can get hurt. Now, you can get really hurt under there. Now, I will say, if you have a convertible or a motorcycle and you're caught off guard, if it was me, I might at least pull over for a second and see if the wind's gonna, the storm's gonna blow over, if it's just a nice gentle rainstorm. But anything other than that, it's not a great place to be at, right? So get your convertible top up and then take off again. We don't want to park on an overpass. We don't want to stand outside, right? Don't be the tallest thing in an open field. That's not a good choice either. And as much as this might sound like a good time, don't try to outrun the tornado. You're not going to win, right? We want to go somewhere indoors. If you're driving through town and you can stop at like the library or the village hall or the Burkott, somewhere that's a more substantial building if you can't get to your home, something like that, right? Have go bag, right? Here's a good one. Have your shoes with you. Anybody know why?
Broken glass.
Glass, nails, debris. The Plainfield tornado, there was a ton of folks who had puncture wounds because they didn't have shoes on or their shoes got blown away or something like that, right? So they had all kinds of wounds on the bottoms of their feet because of that. So we want to try to have shoes if we can. And again, having your cell phones, you can let someone know that you're okay. All right, some stats about tornadoes in Illinois, right? Days with at least one tornado. There's an odd statistic, right? July's got 10 with one tornado in it, right? So we get a lot of tornadoes in Illinois. So we want to be very mindful of that. In 2023 now holds the record for the most tornadoes recorded in northern Illinois since they were kept keeping track in 1950. So we're getting a lot more severe weather. So we really want to be mindful of what's going on. Hail. This isn't snow. This is hail. Look at all that. It's crazy, right? Hail is a very destructive force, right? Anybody's car ever got hit by a hail or like the top of your house, right? I got hired by the county in like 2010, and I was driving home from work, and I was going to a meeting the next day, so I had like my work car with me. Got caught in a hailstorm, and I had probably like 500 little hail marks in the roof of my car. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna like lose my job. This is terrible, right? So hail can be very disruptive to your home, crops, your vehicles, things like that. So you want to take hail seriously. One of my trips for vacation, we were in Texas, and they were talking about, grapefruit-sized hail. Holy cow, like that would hurt, right? I think like the little pea-sized hail hurts. I can't imagine like a grapefruit or a bowling ball falling on me. Oh my goodness. In Illinois, here's our largest hailstone, almost 5 inches in diameter, was recorded in Minooka. So not terribly far from here, right? So we want to take hail very seriously too, right? It can be very disruptive and very damaging. All right, so in hail, quarter size can shatter your windows in your car, easily cause bodily harm, right? Grapefruit-sized hail can't be good for you or your head. Again, do cover your windows if you can with some blankets and go to a room with no windows. Again, we want to stay away from that severe weather. Don't go outside. Right? We're from the Midwest. What do we do when the tornado siren goes off? We all go outside. That's the wrong thing to do, right? We want to go inside. And again, stay away from your windows if you can, right? All right. Lightning. That tree, look at that tree. It's on fire, glowing, right? Like it melted the inside of that tree. Lightning is also very dangerous. It's very hot, very powerful, right? Lightning strikes kill about 20 people a year. 50,000 degrees, hotter than the surface of the sun, right? Like it'll melt concrete. Lightning is very powerful. The 30-30 rule. Anybody know what the 30-30 rule is? Okay. If you let me make sure I get this correct. If you hear thunder, but don't see lightning for 30 seconds afterwards, you're probably in the clear. Not a guarantee. Yes, sir.
Light travels faster than sound.
You know what? I had that backwards. You're right. Sorry. A lot of stuff rolling around up here, but you're right. Yes. If you hear lightning first, if you see lightning first, don't hear thunder for 30 seconds, you're probably in the clear. Now, probably for me, that's not good enough, right? I want to make sure that the storm is past. I don't want to risk it by going outside. So we talk about when thunder roars, we want to go indoors, right? Stop all of our outdoor activities, go somewhere safe. Not a great time to go golfing, right? With nobody holding our big metal rods up in the air. Don't be driving, grounding rods in the backyard, things like that. You want to be cautious because when lightning strikes, it can also splinter out underneath the ground and strike other places, right? So I live here in Manhattan. I used to live over in Century East, and my neighbor's tree got hit by lightning, which was, 100 feet from my house maybe. It fried the computer in my car because the power traveled underneath the ground, through the sidewalk, and went through my car. Not very exciting for me, but kind of a neat fact, right? So again, we want to avoid lightning if we can. Wind. People get worked up about tornadoes. Straight line winds are arguably more dangerous than a tornado because they can happen more easily, I think. So the kind of damage we would see with wind, right? A straight line wind is just that, right? Things blow in one direction. So you see trees toppled over, crops toppled over in one direction, whereas a tornado, it's got that cyclone activity where things are spinning and it's flattening in all different directions. So that's kind of the telltale sign of straight line winds versus a tornado. But straight line winds are no joke. They cause a lot of damage. So, in fact, we're going to watch this is a half hour. We're not going to watch the whole thing. But anybody remember the derecho that came through here in August of 2020, right? Yep. Nice day, and all of a sudden it was like raining sideways and everything was blowing over, right? So this is from a weather watcher in Cedar Rapids. So Nolan, if you want to hit play just for a second, we'll see how the video starts out. And so this is out the guy's front door, right? Nice, okay day here. Getting a little windy. So Nolan, if you skip ahead just a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then that's okay. Wind's picking up a little bit more, right?
Didn't it hit about 5 states?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 'cause we had to get new roofs.
Oh yeah. A lot of folks got a lot of damage on it. So it's starting to get a little bit more windy, right? Stuff starting to fall off the guy's house now. Oh, let's see here. I tried this in my office. We'll see if it actually works now. No, it's okay. All good.
The bar, I'm clicking these.
Oh, let's see here. Try and click that. You got to it?
Just impossible.
How did I do this before? Oh, here, maybe we'll try it up. Here we go. So
we gotta do it
maybe there. So a couple of minutes ahead. Yeah, thank you. So it's starting to rain a little bit, right? His weather radio's going. Who has a weather radio? Everybody should have their hand up, right? Weather radio's going off. He didn't go outside. That's a good thing, right? So maybe Nolan, skip ahead to about maybe 6 minutes there. It's raining. Trees are blowing over. Maybe go to like right about there. Here we go. 6, 7 minutes, right? Can't see out the front of the guy's house anymore. Yeah, how about there? Tree blew over, the other tree on the side of his driveway. Yep, go back just a little bit. There we go, right there. That's crazy. This is not a tornado, it's all straight line winds. So yeah, nothing to mess around with, right? Yeah, right? Got a lot of tree work done in his yard. All right, skip ahead a little bit there. Car alarms are going off now. Yeah, a little bit more. There we go. Rain's letting up a little bit maybe here, maybe not. Blowing pretty good, still raining sideways. There we go. maybe break YouTube? There we go. It's coming, right now you can hardly see out the guy's front window. It's coming on in sheets. His wind chime just fell off. Oop. There we go. It's like going through a car wash now, right? Okay. All that in this course for about 25 minutes, right? So we don't want to mess around with straight line winds or derechos. They're very impactful storms, right? So we want to make sure we're indoors, treat it like it's a tornado, right? All right, let's see if this works here. We can click ahead now. Oh, wait a minute. Now I broke my presentation. Let's see. What did we, that's okay. What did I do here?
Always pause this.
Okay. Here we go here. If I just click next to it for the next one. There we go, okay. So flooding, right? Again, we don't get, at least in Manhattan, we don't get a ton of flooding in town. Some areas have a little bit of storm, that might back up, but not like other communities where they have like the Mississippi River, right? We get little areas where the storm sewer might be overwhelmed, your backyard might get a little bit of water, but we don't see dramatic stuff like this too often in Manhattan, right? So we should be thankful for that. Yeah, I remember being a kid in Lenox and like the Hickory Creek coming over the bank a couple times. Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, the one would be floating
Yep,
down.
yep.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that in a long time, but I do remember that too.
Well, they put a new bridge and stuff.
Right. I remember driving home from high school and like hoping I got through the water, and I thankfully didn't. I foolishly drove through it. I should have known better, but I did it anyway. This is one of my kind of favorite pictures about flooding, right? So this is from Plainfield a couple of years ago, right? So we see pictures like this a lot on the news, maybe, right? The roads all flooded over. What does it look like afterwards? Right? So you might be thinking, oh, I can drive through that. I can get through there. But what you don't know is there's a giant hole there, and all of a sudden your car is going to fill it, right? So during this flooding incident in, I think it was 2013 or 14, the water backed up, it came up over the road, washed all that out. It was closed for I think 2 or 3 months while they were fixing it, right? So you really don't want to drive through flooded water because you really don't know, you can't see what's there, right? So we want to make sure we drive around it and not through it. And it doesn't take much to knock you off your feet or move your car. I mean, we've all probably seen a video on the news of some jamoke trying to drive. I could drive through that, and all of a sudden the car's going, and all of a sudden the car's floating, right? We don't want to be the guy floating down river, right? This is always funny. You don't want to walk through water because A, it's gross. Ugh, you don't know what's in it, right? And two, as little as 6 inches of water can knock you off your feet, right? Anywhere from 6 to 12 can start pushing your vehicle off the road, and you can start going downstream wherever that current's going. So we really want to stay out of flooded waters, right? So, as I say, turn around, don't drown, right? There can be down power lines, there can be snakes and other aquatic life, spilled hazmat, backed up sewer. Just not good stuff to be in, right? We don't let all that kind of go back to its banks where we try to traverse that area, so. Oh, this seems very topical. Extreme heat, right? It's pretty hot today, right? So what do we want to do for extreme heat? Not all of us, many of us are doing it now, right? Drinking lots of water, staying indoors. It's nice and comfort controlled in here. 100 and some degrees outside today, whatever it is, but it feels good in here, right? So we want to stay indoors, right? So extreme heat, the first thing it says stay hydrated, but I think the first thing it should say is stay indoors. Stay in the AC if you can. But again, stay hydrated. If you have to be outside, lots of sunscreen. You can get burnt very easily in this kind of heat. The sun is so bright and powerful these last couple of days. Shade if you can do it. Wear a hat. If you're anything like me, I always burn the top of my head. I always have to wear a hat, which is really uncomfortable, right? Sunglasses. Don't leave your pets in the car, right? If you think it's hot outside, it gets so much hotter in the car, especially if the windows are shut. Even walking your dog on asphalt, We all have shoes on. Dogs don't like to wear shoes, it turns out, maybe as much as we do. But you know, it's hot to us, but it's so hot to the animals on the, you know, like on a concrete or asphalt path. So walking them in grass if you take them outside. How about this one? Did you know that heat can impact your medication? If it's too hot, it might not work the way your doctor wanted it to, so you want to make sure you keep mind of that. So, you know, again, stay indoors and stay cool. Check on your neighbors, right? If you haven't seen your neighbor in a couple days, you notice that the newspapers are sitting on the driveway. They're not supposed to be on vacation. Maybe the mailbox is full up. Maybe just go knock on the door, talk, you know, give them a call, make sure they're okay and that, you know, that they don't need help. If for some reason your air goes out in your house, you might need to go somewhere cool. Look at where you can go for like cooling shelters, right? So like on our website, Will County's website, Will County EMA, we publish a list of cooling centers. It's places like, you know, village halls, libraries. Great time to go see a movie if you want to, right? Nice big dark rooms with lots of cold air conditioning. Those are always nice. So go somewhere cool if you can't get cool where you're at, if that's something you can do. And again, if you need help, you know, check with your neighbors, check with your family if there's people in the area, right? We want to stay cool and out of the sun as much as we can so we don't get dehydrated because heat will make you sick in ways people don't think about. So how do we get alerted to stuff, right? Apparently, I need to change my picture of Tom Skilling because he retired a few months ago. But like my favorite weatherman, I don't know about all of you, but I haven't found the new favorite one yet. But he still tops in my book. But what do you notice about this picture, right? What do you see on there? Anybody?
All the forms of emergency.
Right. There's different forms, right? And different ways to get alerted because we want to make sure we have more than one way to get a message, right? You know, maybe you're outside, so. You know, maybe you've got, you know, your earphones, your headsets on, you're mowing the lawn, listening to the radio, right? But you're not watching TV if you're outside. And maybe if you're mowing the lawn, you left your phone on the kitchen table because you don't want to run it over with the mower like I did one time. That's not a good time. So you might not be around everything. So you want to have multiple ways to get messages, right? All of them are good, but they're better when there's more than one. Also, it turns out, as a group of people, we like to be told and alert more than once before we believe it. Turns out, all kinds of studies on this, right? So if you hear the tornado siren go off, what do?
I look outside.
We go outside, we look outside, right? Oh, it looks, skies are blue here. So you don't necessarily believe it. Well, then you turn on the news. Well, Tom Skilling says it's coming in the area, but it's not here yet. Well, then your weather radio goes off. So you've been told 3 times, and then you're finally like, yeah, I guess I should go to the basement. Okay, fine. So as a society, we like to be told more than one time when we get severe weather. So we want to make sure that we think about that and we believe the first message. Yes, sir?
What's the first thing that goes out when you have high winds?
Power.
Your electricity.
Right.
Everything you got up there runs
Well,
on electricity.
So your radio, you might have batteries in your radio maybe, and your weather radio, if you've got a good one, it's got battery backup in it. And I know everyone changes them, right? Fire safety, we change our battery to smoke detectors in the spring and the fall when we change our clocks. Who else changes their radio or the batteries in their weather radios? Anybody? Oh, come on. You're right. When the power goes out, we lose some of those things, but we can still keep some of them, right? Most of the tornado sirens have backup batteries in them or they're on a generator or something like that. And your cell phone, unless you're like my teenage daughter whose phone is always dead, is probably charged in some capacity, right? And you can get battery bricks to power them if you need to charge when the power goes out. But no, you've got a good point, right? We rely on electricity an awful lot, so having ways to power these types of devices is really important too if the ComEd power goes off. Excellent point. Like we talked about, multiple ways to get notifications, right? Have a weather radio, local TV, outdoor warning sirens. We'll talk about those in a minute. Hey, Will County has this really cool app. It's really neat. You can get it on our website, willcountyema.org, and it says, I think on the front page somewhere it says click here to get our app. It goes right to your smartphone. You can get severe weather messages. You can build an emergency kit, contact information. It's fantastic. Also, who has ever heard their phone make this really awfully annoying sound? Right? So those are called, wireless emergency alerts, or WEA. Sometimes they're called iPause. It's like Amber Alerts, which are great, but it's also localized weather. So if you're like on vacation in, I don't know, South Carolina, right on the beach, right? Well, your weather radio from home is probably at home, and if you have our cool app, it's going to let you know that there's a storm in Will County, but not where you're at on the beach. But things like wireless emergency alerts are geographically targeted to where you're at. So as you travel the United States, it'll make noise if you're in an area that's being alerted. So those are really cool. Make sure you have them turned on your cell phone. You can go and turn them off if you wanted to, but we encourage you to leave them on, right? So any questions about any of that? All right, multiple ways to get notified. Oh, this is one of my favorite topics. Outdoor warning sirens, or why can't I hear the siren in my house?
Because it's for people who are outside.
Here, did you want to finish for me? This is perfect. Exactly. And they're not meant for indoor use, right? They are designed to notify people who are outside that might be recreating. You're walking on the path, you're playing golf, you're washing your car, whatever it is, right? It's for outdoor notification. We commonly call them tornado sirens because that's what we typically use them the most for, but their official name is outdoor warning sirens, right? They're a holdover from civil defense, right? It's just a different sound for weather versus civil defense. If there is a real weather emergency, right, the sirens will sound for 3 minutes, which we hope will be enough to alert you when you're outdoors. Here in Will County, the individual communities are generally the ones responsible for owning them, operating them, maintaining them, and to some degree activating them, right? So we have this really cool dispatch center a couple miles up the road that serves 30-some communities. And so they go together, right? So if Mokina sets theirs off, maybe so does Frankfurt or Lenox. If Manhattan sets theirs off, Elwood might too, right? But they are generally community activated. So someone from the police department or the fire department, get on the radio and call and say, hey, I'm a spotter, I see this happening, let's set the sirens off, right? So again, they're not owned by the county, but they're owned by the different communities. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. And because of where we live at, the different communities spread out, if, let's say Elwood sounds theirs, but maybe Manhattan didn't because the storm's going in a different direction, you might hear that off in the distance very faintly. Or ours might go off in town, and then the Lennoxes might go off afterwards. So you might hear them more off in the distance, right? So it's possible that you're going to hear multiple activations. So. Also, if the storm is really bad, we might sound them more than one time. This is one of my favorite ones too. There's no all clear, right? We don't sound them again that it's safe to come outside, right? It's safe to come outside when the storm or the threat has passed. What are sirens not? They're not the Bluesmobile, right? Sirens are not meant to be heard indoors. Now, if you live next to the siren, well, you get the extra bonus of having it in your house, but typically speaking, right, our houses are built better. We have better insulation, which is a great thing in the wintertime, and the summertime keeps our house warm and cool when it's supposed to be. Better building codes, better windows and doors, all the things that are great for living in the house, but it muffles road noises and it muffles outdoor sounds, which most of the time is probably pretty good, right? You don't want the big semi-truck noise waking you up in the middle of the night because you don't want that. But the only downside is we don't hear things like that as much as we used to, right? And cars are being built better too, right? You ask the fire department, right? Frequently, the ambulance is on the way to somewhere, and people don't hear it, which is crazy. There's this giant red box driving down the road with disco lights and sirens, and people just don't pay attention. So cars are even made better, so you don't hear road noise, you don't hear the wind and that kind of stuff. So one of the downsides is you don't hear outside noise. So we really want to be mindful that they're not meant for indoor sounding, right? And they shouldn't be your only source of notification, right? We want a weather radio, you want a phone app, the TV, the radio, however you want, but we don't want that be our only thing. And again, it's not a perfect situation. It's not a perfect solution because it requires humans to push the button. It's not automatic. So if there's any kind of delay, if Officer Jones says, oh man, we got to set the sirens off, he or she calls on a radio to the dispatcher. They have to go to maybe a different part of their office to push the button. So there can be a minute or two of delay in that, right? So we want to make sure we have more than one way to get notified, and we're not relying entirely on outdoor warning sirens. So I have this dream of getting a chainsaw and cutting them all down, but we'll see, right? They serve a purpose, but I think people rely on them way too much. So we want to make sure we have a lot of ways to get notified. So what kind of things might we set the sirens off for, right? A confirmed setting of a tornado headed towards the community by a trained weather spotter. We want to set it off for that. If the National Weather Service issues a tornado warning, we might go, you know what, it's going to be here in a couple minutes. Let's set it off now because we know it's coming. And again, if you hear them, they're alerting you to something, right? Hey, there's more information to be gathered from somewhere, right? So that's the alert part. The notification part is then tuning into the TV, turning on the radio, going to the internet, or pulling up a phone app, right? Learning why did we set the sirens off, right? It might be a blue sky day, but 5 to 10 minutes from now, the storms are coming, so let's figure out why, right? So alert and notification. Siren testing, right? So by law in Illinois, we test them the first Tuesday of the month between 10 and 10:15. And we might cancel them if there's severe weather so we don't confuse the public, right? We don't want to cry wolf, so to speak. So, any questions about sirens? Yes?
I just have something funny to say.
Oh, please.
When my kids were young,
Mhm.
I lived next to the fire department.
Okay.
And my mother-in-law came to visit on a Tuesday morning. And as soon as she touched the bell, the siren went off.
That's fantastic. I love it. That's awesome. Okay, anything else before we move on? So overall preparedness, right? We've been talking a lot about severe weather, heat, how do we take care of that, but what about our overall preparedness, right? Are we ready? And so we want to make sure we do things like have kits for our cars, go bags, make sure you don't forget about your pets, right? Because we love our pets. We want to make sure we take them with us. We want to make sure that we maintain our plan. If you set out and you say, I'm going to build my 72-hour kit, right? I'm going to have my bottled water and my canned foods, and important to put your can opener with your canned foods because otherwise you're going to get really hungry and get really upset looking at that can of peaches going, I really want to eat this, I can't. Then we want to make sure that we don't let it sit for 10 years. And then the food's expired and the can opener's all rusted and the water leaked out of the bottle and it's a whole mess, right? So we want to make sure that we regularly check it, right? Maybe you say, I'm going to build it in the summertime, and then in the wintertime, I'm going to swap that food out. Here's a great idea. When you change the battery in your smoke detector and your weather radio, you can swap out the food in your preparedness kit, right? Maybe maybe you got a new prescription from your doctor. You want to make sure you have information with that, or have your bank information, have that with it too. So if you have to leave your home, you can get to your resources. What do we think we should put in our car preparedness bag? Anybody have any ideas? Nobody? A cell phone, that's a really good one, actually.
Sorry. I thought I-
Flashlight?
I guess not.
What was that? Yeah, jumper cables, yep. Like,
Or something neat.
yeah, road flares maybe? Okay, yeah. Right, blanket. They make these really cool, fold up, space blankets that expand to 8 times your body size. So you want to make sure you have stuff that you get stuck in the car. We think about car prepares a lot for the winter time, but if your car breaks down in the summertime, you want to make sure you have maybe some bottles of water so you don't overheat yourself. Yes?
Daughter-in-law
Okay.
was laughing. She's from Southern Illinois. She goes, why do you guys have crates in your car? Because we have all our stuff in
Yeah.
there. She's in Minnesota now. She's got a crate.
There you go. It's no fun getting stuck without having stuff with you, right? Make sure you're prepared. Cookies are always good, right? Okay. Twinkies. Twinkies last forever, right? Yeah. Any questions?
We covered it pretty thoroughly.
Okay, well, thank you. Did everybody get a chance to, yes?
I just heard on TV that Tornado Alley is moving east.
Okay, that would be,
That's going to affect us even more.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weather patterns seem to be changing a lot. And again, I'm not a meteorologist. I don't understand how all that exactly works, but it's definitely happening. So for whatever reason, we're seeing a lot more active weather these days, and something we want to be very, very mindful of. So.
TRIAD works to improve the quality of life for seniors by providing an opportunity for the exchange of information between public safety, social services, and seniors. There are no membership papers to fill out or fees to pay. Everyone is welcome to attend. Each month, we present a guest speaker on subjects that keep you informed and up to date on the latest scams, frauds, and other criminal activities. We also discuss safety issues, home preparedness, and staying healthy. TRIAD meets the fourth Thursday of every month. Contact the New Lenox Police Department at 815-462-6100 for more information.